The first story of the day is about CBS. This is a report. It was on Daily Wire, Information, Liberation, a few other websites. Paul Joseph Watson on Twitter reported it, that CBS had an article that was fact-checking Trump, because the mainstream media likes to hold Trump accountable and make sure that he's not lying. You know, that's what they tell you, although they do a lot of opinion pieces themselves. Anyway, the border speech, they went through and said all the things that they were fact-checking Trump on, and one of them was very interesting because Trump said that around 1/3 of women coming across the border are being raped or sexually assaulted in some form. He said that, and CBS said, no, that's not true. Trump lied. It's actually 60 to 80%, according to Amnesty International. So CBS said, no, Trump's wrong about that. The rape rates are actually higher at the border. So naturally, this article started going viral. People are like, look, Trump's wrong, but it's actually in a direction that'll make you think there's a lot of women and children being raped. And I have to say, if anyone's been following me for a while, I've been trying to share this information all year that the Huffington Post, which is a liberal news outlet, they're not conservative at all, they're like far left. They did a study a few years ago and found that 80% of Central American young women and children and young women and little girls are being raped across the border. We're talking about two different studies that are saying 60 to 80% of women and young children are being raped when they're going towards the border. That's a lot. I mean, one woman raped is too many in my opinion. 2, 3, 4, you're talking about 80% of the women and children. I mean, this is a huge issue, especially if you're liberal and you care about women and children. Like, this isn't a political issue. So CBS actually said what I've been saying for a year. But then they decided to delete that part of it, and the article's still up, and they still have all the fact checks, but for some reason, they deleted that fact, according to many reports. You know, I didn't catch it when it was up there, but they got screen grabs of it up there. So this asks the question, but we already know the answer. If you've been following it anywhere, they don't really care about anything that they claim to, and it's sad. It makes me want to cry, but I'm not going to right now. There's young girls and women being raped, but they think the big scoop is just doing the opposite of Trump and making him look bad at all costs. So it doesn't matter if he's stopping the Syrian war. It doesn't matter if he's bringing our troops home. It doesn't matter if he's protecting thousands of young women and children from being raped. It doesn't matter if President Trump is like the president who's fighting human trafficking more than any other president. There's a lot of human trafficking arrests, and Trump has made it a month. He calls it Human Trafficking Awareness Month. Have you heard about that? You hear about R. Kelly. You hear about Bill Cosby for 5 years, but do you hear about President Trump making Human Trafficking Awareness Month? You think the scoop is Louis C.K., inviting girls over his room and doing weird masturbation fetishes at 1 a.m.? You think that's the big scoop when there's tens of thousands of women and children getting sold into sex slavery? That's the big scoop. That should be on Dr. Phil. It actually was on a Dr. Phil episode. But the mainstream media serves as a cover-up organization for that. They don't want you to know about that, so they'll talk about Bill Cosby for 5 years. And I'm not justifying what Bill Cosby did or didn't do, but what I'm saying is there's bigger and more serious rapes on kids that can't even defend themselves. 3, 4, 5, 6. They could barely walk and talk. They're getting raped and sold into sex slavery. And it's happening at an extremely high rate at the border. And I've been mentioning this for a year now, but nobody wants to listen. Oh, it's all about the women and children. Well, then why don't you want to listen to the women and children? And CBS is doing what MSNBC does, what CNN does, what all the progressives and liberals do. I have professors that I loved in school that are like so far gone and brainwashed, far left. They're like, oh, Trump is putting kids and women in cages. First of all, those pictures came from the Obama administration. It was 2014. They all went viral. People realized it was Obama. They took them back. They found new pictures that they framed, but it's not really the full story. Yes, people might be put in facilities for a few hours, but there's bigger scoops going on, and it's not something new. It's not something he did. He actually reversed the policy. So it's like they want young women and children to get raped, and I don't think they really want that. I just think that their ignorance and naivety and foolishness is at such a high level, and their stubbornness. I couldn't stand conservatives growing up because I felt like all the conservatives were very stubborn, and I felt like it was more the left that was like listening. You know what I'm saying? And it was at a certain point, maybe not, but liberals are so stubborn. They're like, I don't care how many young kids get raped at the border. Let's stop Trump. But what if Trump is saving them? What if Trump is stopping the war? What if Trump is helping millions of people? You don't care? I'll talk to some people in person, and the second I start bringing up truth, they just say, oh, I don't care, I don't want to like Trump. I'm like, so you're admitting to me you don't care what the truth is, you just want to feel this way. And they'll say yes. So do you think, my question is, do you actually think you're a good person? Like, do you go home and do you think you're actually as virtuous, or are you like many people that I know that actually know that they're terrible people, that want the whole world to burn? They just won't, they don't have the guts to tell you. Like New York Times said it recently, I've said it multiple times because it's true. They put out an article that said, would human extinction be a good thing? And it basically summed up saying, I think human extinction would be a good thing. So they're telling you, I have a little more respect for them. They're not lying and saying, we love women and children, and then behind closed doors saying, no, we want everyone to die. They're telling you up front, they're saying, we want everyone to die. Like, this is our liberal agenda. We want everyone to die. I really don't know what to say more about this situation. That in pursuit of stopping Trump, from Sarah Silverman, I almost said Sarah Silverstein, but Sarah Silverman, Chelsea Handler, who has Nazi roots. I mean, Google Chelsea Handler Nazi, and you'll see her crying because she found out her family has Nazi roots. So don't you think you don't want to repeat what your family did as opposed to doing the same tactics? Anyway, what I'm saying is, in pursuit of hating Trump, they'll do anything, including cover up rape statistics. And you can look on Huffington Post, Amnesty International, or just basically use your brain and figure out that there's tens of thousands of women being human trafficked. Liz Wheeler tweeted the other day, which is probably true. I didn't get to fact check it, but there's enough fentanyl going through the border to kill every single American. You need like this much fentanyl, like microscopic amounts of fentanyl, basically like, 1/20th of a penny of fentanyl to die. And we have record number suicides because everybody's brains are gone because they're listening to liberal media. We have record number overdoses in drugs, and fentanyl is the silent killer. It's coming in from Mexico. It's probably coming in from China and other places too, because why wouldn't people do it? I mean, we're so foolish and naive here. We say, come in, no borders. We want border security. We just don't want a wall. We want apartment security. We just don't want a front door. We just want to let everyone in, and then we're going to keep you secured. No, they're not. They don't want to do that. And when I tell you the second story, you're going to find out how sick and disgusting it really is, because not only are they letting millions of people in while lying to your face and letting young women and children get raped, but now they're forcing California citizens, including myself, that's why I'm a little upset, to pay for it. They're saying, no. And I'm going to get into the next story, so I'll just wrap this one up. Overall, reports from multiple news organizations that CBS had a statistic that said that 60 to 80% of young women and girls are getting raped while coming across the border. They decided to delete it, according to reports, because, it makes Trump look good, and we're trying to make Trump look bad. We're not trying to stop young women and children from getting raped, and that's really sick stuff. And I want to say, before I end this last story, the Democrats and the liberal media and the celebrity elite class, normal citizens or normal media would say, hey, if something happens, it happens, we'll deal with it. But you don't want to tell people to break into your apartment. You don't want to tell people to break into your mansion or your house. You don't want to tell people to break into your country. You don't want to promote the breaking of a law. You're just not supposed to do that. And that's what liberal media is doing. They're telling Mexico, they're telling Guatemala, they're telling the crappiest of the crappy people. And trust me, there's terrible people in America, there's terrible people in Mexico, there's terrible people in Central America that you don't want here, especially with the murder rates going on in Mexico now. You would think you'd be a little cautious, but that's not what liberal media says. They don't say come legally. They don't say be a good person, we're going to judge you by content of character. We're going to make sure that you didn't kidnap a girl, because a lot of, I think up to 80%, according to Department of Homeland Statistics, don't quote me on it, but I'm probably more accurate than most media, 80% of women, or 80% of kids coming to the border, they're not coming with their parent. They're either coming unaccompanied, that's how they get raped, because they come by themselves without a dad, or they're being kidnapped in many ways. It's not really the kid, because liberals tell all of these people in Mexico, oh, come to the border with the kid, we'll raise $20 million in GoFundMe and we'll fight for your rights here, and we'll give you health care. Gavin Newsom will give you health care. He'll take money from Anomaly and millions of Hispanic and Black and White and Latino and Asian families in California. We'll take their money, all the legal citizens who pay taxes, and we'll give you health care. So Democrats are incentivizing rape. Time to flip the narrative in a way that people don't want to talk about. Democrats are incentivizing rape. Democrats are incentivizing human trafficking. Democrats are incentivizing the theft of other people's kids, and they're incentivizing people to break the law here, and then they're making us pay for it via taxes and individual mandates. The Democrats, just like President Trump said, I hate to be negative, I hate to bring it there, I don't like to stoke the fire of division, I really don't, but it's hard for me, before I move on to the next story, it's hard for me to see how they're not the enemy of the people. They're so mad when Trump says that they're the enemy of the people. How are they not? I mean, their terrible reporting led to the Iraq War. It led to slave trade and organ harvesting in Libya. It led to extremists taking over, half of Syria and leading to the humanitarian crisis, which was the refugee crisis of Syria. It came because they did all of their stuff. They covered it up. Then they tanked all of Europe. Now they won't let Europe fight back. Now they're trying to have the United States be run rampant by, millions of people, whoever wants to come in. How are they not the enemy of the people? They screwed up the Middle East. They screwed up Europe. They're screwing up the United States. They're not helping Mexico. They literally created a humanitarian crisis in Tijuana. They told a bunch of people from Guatemala and El Salvador to come to the border when they weren't allowed in. They're literally saying, break the law, break the law. All these people who want to break the law come to Tijuana. Now they're screwing up Mexico. They don't like Mexicans. They caused a humanitarian crisis. It cost Tijuana millions of dollars. And now they have 20,000 people, 80% of them men, not women and children like they lie about. They do their little framed pictures for the media so Time magazine can put out propaganda. How are they not the enemy of the people? They're screwing up Mexico. They already screwed up South America. They're screwing up the United States. They're screwing up Canada. They're screwing up Europe. They screwed up the Middle East. God knows what they're doing in Africa. Look into what China's doing in Africa. They're taking it over. Anyway, how are they not the enemy of the people? These are sick people. And it's time to confront your friends and family members peacefully. But at what point do you stop these people? It's like, I don't know. Please try to wake them up to this reality. Because I'm not saying everything peaceful, everything out of the love, everything try to convince them. But at a certain point, we have to hold our ground in America. Like, they're trying to take the First Amendment, they're trying to take a Second Amendment, they're trying to open our borders, illegally incentivize millions of people to come here illegally, and then they're going to censor my speech when I talk out about it, when my money's being stolen from it. I mean, at what point do you stop these people? It's getting absolutely insane. The second story